Uh, Playing Oakland, former team this weekend, how do you feel going into it and how confident are you?
Good. Same confidence as day one. Feels good, and it gives you a boost of confidence that when you see the boys working, how hard they're working, how much they're understanding what we want to do this week, and then also having new pieces that give you the ability to be more flexible, to be a bit more versatile. It's important as well. So feeling very good for this week. Actually cannot wait to see the reaction of the boys, and it's gonna be a tough game because I know what Oakland is gonna do. I know what they are, and they're also on a good run. So I want to see where they're gonna bring on Saturday.
We didn't see him in the 18, and maybe it's just the shades playing me up, but I didn't see him out here training today. Is there any update on Jackson Conway?
And today I can't comment on that one, but I'll promise you that by the end of the week I'll have an answer for you, and the club will have an answer for you. It's nothing bad, but I just can't give you an answer today.
Johnny Rodriguez for Oakland had like 5 goals in this little hot stretch of theirs, player coach and stuff like that. What have you kind of seen from him, and how do you guys kind of game plan for a guy who's just kind of like popping off right as you can?
Yeah, Johnny's doing a very good job. I'm not surprised. We liked him a lot while we were there. We worked a lot with him. He's a player that now has been playing under one system for a year and a half, and you can see how comfortable he is playing either as a 9 or playing in one of the pockets. Also how hardworking he is in pressing moments, how he makes it very uncomfortable for the other team to build out of the back in comfortable situations. And then listen, if you give him an inch, Johnny's going to take a shot. He's done that for his whole career, and now he's feeling more comfortable in the USL Championship, and he's been doing it. So I'm very happy for Johnny. There's someone that deserves that. If somebody works that hard, even when he's not starting and when he's not part of, the constant rotation of the team, which he did it all last year. Now he's seeing, the good side of all the hard work. So I'm very, very happy for him, and we'll find ways to stop him on Saturday.
What's it been like for you to watch what Oakland have kind of done since you've moved on from afar? Watch what Noah's done, watch what some of the players have been able to do.
No, I'm happy. I'm happy for the players. I'm happy for Noah, for the coaching staff. It feels good. It feels good to see that they gave continuity to a project that we've had. If you see them, you see a lot of things that you see in our game motto and our identity. So all the hard work that we put in with that group, because it wasn't easy. We started building from scratch as well, with a few returners, more returners that we have here. We had last year in Oakland, but you see the continuous work of all the previous work that we did for probably eight or 9 months. So they've done a good job. It wasn't easy for them, obviously, in the position that they had to assume last year. But I think the coaching staff has done a tremendous job. Tweaking a little things, but keeping the solid bases and the structures that were laid since day one. Also, you see when they have 8 or 9 starters that were there last year. These guys have been together now for a year and a half, and some of them were even there prior to that. So it's probably 2.5 years together. Then is when you start seeing a lot of positives, and you see the fluidity that they have. So it's been good. I'm very, very happy for them, but I'm also ready to face them, because last time they were here, I was not allowed to be on the sideline.
What are some of those tweaks that you've seen?
Oh, sometimes I see how the right wing back Tamakas drops to create a line of 4. In the past, we were not creating a line of 4 with Tamakas. They're more direct, a bit more direct than they were when we were there. Ball goes to the goalkeeper, and I can see how the goalkeeper is not demanded to build out of the back as much as it was when we were there, and that's a clear change as well. And then also the guys that they use in those pockets. We use more of number 10s. When you see last game versus Colorado, Lindo and Feka was not on the starting team, and when he comes in, he's more of a number 10. But then with Johnny, with Edgardo Rito, when he was playing in that pocket, it's more of a front 3, guys that attack and go to those spaces. So some tweaks here and there, but at the end of the day, is the same formation, a very similar shape, and the principles have not changed too much.
As you mentioned, first time you'd be on the touchline against your former club. When you left them last year, there was kind of a hint of some bad feeling on their part. Do you think that'll be a factor, or do you think it's past?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how's their feeling over there. I have not been in contact with some of those 5 or 6 guys that made those decisions on the higher part of the organization. To be honest, I'm not interested in knowing how they feel either. I respect the club very much. I respect the supporters. I respect the fan base. I respect all the players and the coaching staff, and everyone that knows me. They know exactly how I feel about everything that happened, and I have nothing but love. But but all those persons and part of the organization, just 5 or 6 guys don't represent what the whole organization is. So that's how I feel about it.
You played a 3-4-3 and 3-5-2 for the entire season. With the new guy coming in, any tweaks to that system or more the same?
We'll see now. We have, like I was telling you earlier, right? We're more versatile now. We have more flexibility in which we can adopt different formations or shapes during build-up moments or during pressing moments. At the end of the day, our identity, our principles do not change. So we're going to have the ability now to look a bit different and shape on the field if we want to, or if the game requires it. But so we're very happy about that. He gives us that, but he also gives us a jump of intensity and aggressiveness in the final third. If you give this kid an inch, he'll take a shot, he will run to a space, he'll find something. So he's very eager. Also, he's very happy to be here, which is very important. We want to have people here that really wants to be here, and that's what we have in the locker room with our 24 guys.
How do you think he's gelling then, now that he's managed to get a few days in the training ground with the boys?
Oh, it's been great. It's been great, and I mean, I give it to him. It's not easy to receive a phone call at 1:30 a.m. and telling you, I mean, you find out that you've been traded and you have to jump on a flight not to Monterrey, but you have to go to Pittsburgh, I mean, in a few hours. And the way we received him in the airport, and he came in and he fit in right away. Also, not just, good on his part, also great and unbelievable on the group that we have, on the coaching staff and on the players that were in Pittsburgh, the way that we welcome people and we make sure that they feel welcome. I always tell the players, remember how you felt on day 1 and remember all the things that you wanted, that you needed on that day. Every time someone walks in through that locker room and walks in through that door and is coming over here to help, to add, and to bring something positive, we have to make sure that we give to them everything they need to be able to help us. And then obviously that person that walks in needs to understand also where are they coming and what are we representing and what are the things that we want to do. So as long as all those things are aligned, it's going to be good.
What were some of the things you felt like you guys did well in the second half against Pittsburgh?
I was happy with many phases of the game. I think being on the sideline over there and being in Pittsburgh 5 times prior to that game, a few times as a player and twice as a coach, and understanding what playing in Pittsburgh is on that field versus those teams that Bob assembles, that they're very comfortable making you uncomfortable, and even when when you try to make them uncomfortable, they're fine. I was happy with many phases of the game that we did, and I actually spoke to Owen after the game and I told him that I was happy with a lot of things we did, but watching the game after and putting emotions to the side and being more logical, I think we did a lot of good things up to the final third. In the final third we were okay because we were good 3-4 times. We cannot be good 3-4 times. We have to be good 10, 12, 15 times on the final third. But again, sometimes when you're on the sideline and you have those emotions and you're feeling that you're controlling a game in Pittsburgh and you're being able to pin them back and make them defend, and you look to the side and you see Bob screaming and you see how uncomfortable Bob is, and then Bob talks to me after the game and he says what he said to me. Sometimes you leave with a feeling that you were better when you were not. We were good all the way until the final third. In the final third we had to be much better, and this is what we've been working all week, is about that change of mentality. We want to build, we want to absorb spaces, we want to be calm to be able to absorb pressure to create spaces behind. Once we create that space, I want to see more. I know we be more intense and more aggressive, and that's going to lead to more situations in the final third.
Do you think bringing Panos in helps maybe fill something that was missing?
Well, not necessarily something that was missing, but I think it's going to bring in another piece that can give us that. At the end of the day, I know our players have that, the quality to do that. I just don't want them to get confused and think, yeah, we want to keep the ball, we want to move it, we want to absorb spaces, but then when we're in the final third, our behavior needs to change. Your behavior is not the same when you're building out of the back as when you have a team pinned back in the final third. So it's about that. It's changing that behavior and changing that mentality and making sure that we can wake it up on the guys. And that's part of the process that we have. Now, 12 games in, we're doing a lot of things properly, building out all the way from the touchline with our goalkeeper, all the way up to the final third. Now in our process, we have identified that we got to be better in the final third. Let's change that mentality. Let's be more intense. Let's be more aggressive. Now, if we keep doing everything towards the final third, and now we start creating more chances and we're intense and we put everything together, I think we're going to be okay.
You always want a player that's a little different than everybody else you have. with Panos, what are those little differences from a Fede or a Trejo or a Jose Andres Hernandez that make him a add for you guys and allows you to be a little bit better in the final third like you're talking about?
Yeah, I think it's what I was mentioning before. It's not like we have guys over here that don't have what Panos is going to bring. We do. Every guy that plays that position has the qualities that Panos has. But also I think Panos being a guy that's coming back to the U.S. after being in Europe for a while, being an American, a 24-year-old that wants to prove and show everyone in the league what he can do. I think we need to make sure that we can utilize that towards our advantage, utilize his motivation, utilize how hungry he is and how he wants to show everyone what he can do so he could create a name in the US. We need to utilize that momentum in our favor. So that's what Panos brings to the table differently than some of the other guys that we have that have already played in this league and everybody knows them.
And that's not just him personally, that's also putting that motivation, that kind of, not ego, but ego towards everybody else and getting everybody else motivated to go compete, yeah?
Absolutely. Sometimes it's good to have healthy movement and you throw in a piece in that locker room and it creates motion, right? It creates movement. And there's a story about the Japanese where, they like eating fish, right? And the coast of Japan, it was intoxicated, so the fish were dying, so the Japanese had to go further to buy the fish, but when the fish was coming back after the fishing, it wasn't fresh anymore. So they said, okay, what do we do? Then they put them in some tanks. They'll fish it, they'll put it in the tanks, and they were coming, but then the fish in the tanks was not moving, so they were cooking it, it wasn't fresh enough. So they said, what do we do now? So they started fishing baby sharks, and they threw the baby sharks in the tank, and that created movement, and then the fish was fresh when they were eating it. So what I'm trying to say over here is that sometimes you need to throw something in there to create movement that then just, creates motion. And for us, Panos is we throw someone in there, we create that movement, we create that motion, and it's going to end up positive.
Yeah, Juan, ¿cuál es su análisis del juego de Pittsburgh y cuáles fueron los motivos para traer a Panos al equipo?
Sí, en Pittsburgh lamentablemente me parece que se jugó un buen partido, que se hicieron muchísimas cosas positivas hasta el último tercio. En el último tercio tuvimos 4 ocasiones claras que al final el portero hizo su trabajo, hizo lo que tuvo que hacer para mantener el arco en cero, pero debimos ser mejores. No podemos controlar un partido de la manera que lo controlamos y sentirnos tan cómodos con el balón y llegar al último tercio y no crear más. No tienen que ser 4 o 5, tienen que ser 10, 12 oportunidades que creemos para poder estar más cerca de ganar después. Un gol en una pelota parada que nos hacen que no puede seguir pasando, no puede volver a pasar. Eso hay que evitarlo. Y nada, traer a Panos porque es un jugador que entra perfectamente en nuestra filosofía, es un jugador que entra perfectamente en el esquema que queremos y técnica, tácticamente y mentalmente es un jugador que está listo, que quiere demostrar, que se quiere crear un nombre en la liga, en los Estados Unidos, y nosotros estamos súper contentos de tenerlos y él también está muy contento de estar acá.
When you look, you've already had this season with San Diego, but when you're looking to play a team home and away in pretty quick succession, how does that change how you prepare for either of those games?
Not much for us. It's in part of the process that I was mentioning before. It's 12 games in now, and we keep identifying things that we're doing well and things that we're not doing well, and we have to make sure that we keep laying on those. The things that we're doing well, we keep feeding to get stronger. The things that we need to improve, we will act, and we first identify them. After identifying them, we have to feed them to get better. Now we're focusing a lot on the final third. There's a part of the process that we are. If we're building, if we're sustaining possession, if we're arriving to the final third with the ball under control, now what do we do now? So that's kind of like what we want to see. Let's see how it's in. Just because you work 3 days on it, it's not going to be now perfect, or you're going to see an unbelievable, that we're going to shoot 50 times on target. But it should be better, and there should be progress. There should be evolution. And that's what it is. When you build a project, when you have a process, sometimes you're going to have to tweak, you identify things that are not working, and then you have to see that process and evolution. So for us, it's one game at a time. It's Oakland, it's Louisville, then it's New Mexico, and we'll take it one at a time, and we keep identifying things that need to improve, and we keep making sure that we're nailing them.
In your mind, what is missing in the final third right now?
I think it's what we're working on today. Sometimes where we're sustaining possession and we're driving at teams, we all want to show, and we want to get the ball in our feet, which is fine. And that's a principle that we do when we're building out, when we're in the middle third. But once we're in the final third, it's not just showing to get the ball on your feet, it's moving to spaces, attacking spaces, taking more 1v1s, taking risks, making sure that we can squeeze the opposition, because if we lose that 1v1 or if we cross the ball and there's a second ball, we can regain a second phase and go at them again. So what's missing is just, it's a bit of mentality. The guys have it. Trust me, all of them. We watch them for hours before bringing them in. Now we just have to wake them up and change their behavior. Your behavior is this when we build out. Your behavior is this in the middle third. Now your behavior changes on the attacking third. And I want to see that, and especially at home. Every time we touch the ball in the attacking third, there's 10,000 people that get up over here and start, making noise. And I want that. I want to build that connection with the fan base now, in which when we arrive to the final third, they get excited because they know they're going to see something. And that's what I want for this week.
Fitness, how's Niall and Quayshow and Mo, and maybe more importantly or more recently, Eddie doing?
Yes, so let's start Niall. He's little by little coming back. He's done probably a quarter of a session. Same thing with Cuello. Let's see if hopefully both of them can start joining a full session next week. Mo Traore, he's still, he's not in return to train yet. Hopefully next week we could put him in that phase when he starts return to train and he starts working with our strength guy, and now he leaves kind of like the table, how I call it, the medical side. And then you see, Eddie's fine. He was just cramping up last game, and that's why we had to sub him. But it was also important now to see how the fitness levels of Gabi and Uso keep raising, right? Uso was out for probably 3 weeks. Gabi was out for 7.5 weeks. So pretty much Gabi and Cuello and probably Mo, when they come back, they're gonna need like a small microcycle of a preseason for then us to get them back and making sure that they can be not just fully fit, but also mentally ready to come in.
How have you seen Eddie's development? You brought him in as a wing back. He's played a winger, as a winger, wing back, fullback his whole career on the right. And you've sort of moved him over to the left, and he seems more aggressive every single week, cutting in, taking shots, taking on players. It seems like it's really been a very confident stretch for him.
Yes, and listen out, and you're talking individually about Eddie, and I agree with you. I'll start with Eddie, and I think individually he keeps growing, he keeps getting better, but it also comes with a consistency of playing in one position. At the end of the day, you could play left or right, but he's playing one position where those principles are cleared on what he needs to do. So that allows us then the opportunity to develop a player and make them grow, make them get better. When you talk about the back line, right, when the way we're building out, even the goalkeepers, when you have that consistency of personnel, that they're playing in the same position for many amount of games, and they have the same teammates around, you see progress, you see evolvement. Look at Kev Lambert, man. Kev Lambert's probably the best center back in this league. No questions asked. We haven't really played in a back four from the start, but we've defended in a back five, we defended in a three, we defended in a back four, and Kev's done it all. On the ball, he's built out through the middle, he's built out on the right side of the three center backs, he's built out on the right side as a right back. So you see that development, that evolvement of how players are getting better, and that's important. Then you see Renzo, you see the Harveys, it's players that are playing consistency in one spot, they can keep developing, and it's important for them to stay healthy so they can keep developing, and that's what we want to find. We want to find the same thing with at least 80% of the players in their spots that allow them the opportunity to stay healthy, play consistent amount of minutes, and then I'm pretty sure that everyone is going to develop.
It's far too early to be standing watching, but for a game against a conference opponent that's above you, just how much do you emphasize that with the players a little bit, and like how important of a game this could be early on?
How important the game on Saturday is?
Yeah, a game on Saturday.
The game on Saturday is absolutely everything for me. I told them on Monday, I told them what this game represents. I explained to them what this game represents to me, to the staff, to the organization, to the ownership group, to the president, what it represents to my family. And Saturday the boys are going to be ready to play. So at the end of the day, they also understand what we need. They also understand in the unnecessary position that we put ourselves in. And now we just need to make sure that at home versus a rival that came here last year and was celebrating in front of our fan bases, our families, and all of us, is that we make sure we get the job done.